Hello and welcome to this fast-paced tutorial for Excel keyboard shortcuts. I'm using Excel on a Windows computer, but these keyboard combinations also exist in the Mac version of Excel, but oftentimes with different keys. So for the Mac users, I'll have these shown onto the screen as well. We start with the Ctrl-Enter combination. The Ctrl-Enter combination lets you fill in an entire range at once with the same data or formula. For instance, I want to add OK in these cells. Hit Ctrl-Enter and all cells are filled in at once. Now let's say that we want to calculate the amount of taxes. Again, I'll select the entire range first, equals F2 times 0.21, et voila, no need to drag the formula down. When you forget to use Ctrl-Enter, or when you want to extend the range, you can use Ctrl-D to fill in the rest of the range. Make sure that all cells are selected and hit Ctrl-D. As you can see, this results in the same outcome. The next keyboard combination can be useful to track different formulas in a column. Perhaps there are a few values like this, or a different formula like this. So first you select the range, and then you hit Ctrl-Shift-backslash to select all the cells with differences. You can then mark these to show that they follow a different formula. With Ctrl-backslash, you can search for differences in rows. The next keyboard command is one to group or ungroup columns or rows. So perhaps I want to hide all of these columns. First we select them all, and then we hit the keyboard combination Shift-Alt-Right arrow. Once the group is created, you can of course expand or collapse it by clicking on the minus or plus sign. Ungrouping rows or columns is done with the combination Shift-Alt-Left arrow. This keyboard command is a big help when you often use pivot tables. With the Ctrl- combination, you add values to the filter. Let's say that we want to exclude France. We select a cell and hit Ctrl-. When we check the filter, we can see that France is unchecked. It's also possible to do this with multiple items. Let's select these, and again, Ctrl-. Time for some navigation shortcuts. The next part is a bit longer and probably one of the more important parts to improve your efficiency in Excel. The Ctrl arrow combination moves you from the selected cell to the edge of the range. Ctrl downwards arrow moves me to the bottom, Ctrl up to the top, Ctrl left to the left, and finally Ctrl right arrow to the right. If you want to avoid using the mouse, you can also select the cells in a similar way. With Ctrl Shift arrow, you can quickly select entire ranges. Ctrl Shift downwards arrow selects all cells in the column that are beneath the selected cell. Ctrl Shift left selects all cells to the left from the selected range, and so on. The combination Ctrl backspace takes you back to the selected cell, which can be useful as well. Ctrl A selects the entire range, but I'm guessing that most people will already use this frequently. Ctrl period moves you clockwise from corner to corner in a selected range. Hitting Ctrl period again moves you to the next corner, and so on. This way you can quickly navigate around in big data ranges. Hitting F5 opens the Go To window. Go To lets you type in a specific cell to jump to. For instance, I'll use this to jump to cell G25. Alright, that's it for navigation shortcuts. For the next shortcut, we have selecting and copying visible cells. When you are working in Excel sheets with hidden rows, it can be quite annoying to copy data. Selecting cells with hidden cells in between copies the hidden data as well. So normal Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V results in this. With the keyboard combination Alt-, you select the visible cells only. Again, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, and now only the visible cells are copied. You generally don't need to use line breaks in Excel all that often, but when you do, it might be nice to know the next keyboard command. Alt-Enter lets you add a line break after your cursor position. So perhaps I want to add a line break between each word of the United States dollar. This can be convenient if you're having trouble with dragging the column into the correct size. No matter how you drag the column, the line breaks will remain in place. When you have a lot of sheets in a workbook, it can be quite a hassle to navigate through them quickly. To make this a bit more convenient, you can use the keyboard shortcuts Ctrl Page Up and Ctrl Page Down. Ctrl page up moves you to the tab on the left, while Ctrl page down moves you to the tab on the right. Spamming one of these commands lets you move through the different sheets quicker than clicking with. Excel also has a neat shortcut for entering the current date. To do this, you can use the keyboard combination ctrl semicolon. Additionally, you also have a combination to enter the current time. To do this, I'll use ctrl shift semicolon. Depending on your keyboard settings, you might have difficulties with some of these shortcuts, but since most people use QWERTY, it probably won't be a problem. Adding a hyperlink is something that I use from time to time. With the shortcut Ctrl K, you open the hyperlink menu. Nice and easy, and you can select your link, add it to the file, and open it from inside the sheet. In big data sheets, it can be annoying to scroll to the beginning or end of your sheet. There are two keyboard shortcuts that can help with this. Ctrl Home takes you to the first cell in your sheet, which should be A1. Ctrl End, on the other hand, takes you to the last cell containing data. Repeating your previous action is something that occurs quite often. By pressing the F4 key, you repeat your previous action. For instance, you can use this to mark multiple cells in a fast way. I'll mark this cell manually and then hit F4 for the next cell, and so on. This is something that I use from time to time, but mainly for marking cells as mentioned above. The next keyboard shortcut, which is Alt downwards arrow, has a few uses. The first one is to open the filter menu, when you select a cell with a filter and use Alt downwards arrow. The second one is to show all options in a data validation list. With the arrow keys, you can then select the value that you want. The last use is to show the autofill list. Select a normal cell in a column and press Alt downwards arrow. This is a quick way to identify all values inside the column. The next one is fairly unknown to my surprise, but it's one that I use quite often. By using Ctrl and dragging on a sheet, you can copy it. So you just press the Ctrl key and then drag the sheet onto the next space. This is much faster than a normal copy. You can even do this with multiple sheets at once. Select the sheets that you want to copy, hit Ctrl and drag them over. We'll end on a quick overview of all shortcuts mentioned in this video. Hopefully you got a few useful ones to take away from this. Questions or remarks are more than welcome. Subscribing to the channel would be gold. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.